Hey, this is Eddie Olczyk. You're listening to Empty Betters with Nick, Mac, and Harrison.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to episode 104 of Empty Betters. I'm your host, Harrison Scholes. I'm going to toss it across the screen to my co-host with a fancy schmancy new sign behind him, Nick Manella. What's going on, buddy?
Guys, this thing is like hot, like really, really hot. So if I don't have any hair on like the back of like my mud flap for a while, you're going to have to forgive me. But no, like how sick is this thing? Sorry if you're like driving and you can't look at YouTube or anything right now, but my girlfriend knocked it out of the park for the 100th episode. She got me this neon sign. So first piece for the studio if we ever get there.
Oh, we're getting there, baby. And that is going to be the first piece that goes up along with a framed picture of us with Greg. But
and the one you got too, that was sick. The little plaque that looked like the Spotify thing. That was awesome.
Yeah, I'll have to pull it aside here when I toss it off to Mac. I'll run over and get it. But yeah, that's a sharp looking sign. Ari gave me a heads up that was coming, so I knew that was going to make you happy. But yeah, it definitely looks like that can project some serious fucking heat. So
yeah, she plugged it in like while I was asleep in the morning because she's a teacher, so she gets up and leaves before my lazy ass gets up for my horrible job. But so she plugs this thing in, and I wake up and I'm like, why in the fuck is my bedroom purple right now? Like we have one of those like galaxy projectors at night, it projects like the night sky, which is sick to fall asleep to. And I'm like, did I forget to turn this thing off? So like I'm yelling at like the Echo Dot to turn it off. I'm not going to say her name because she's going to wake up and start talking. But and so I'm like, what in the shit is going on? I'm so confused. I'm like half asleep. I get up, I stumble into the wall, and then I see it. And I'm like, oh, let's go. It was so cool.
Yeah, no, that's a very good gift. Very good gift. I give her huge props for that. And I'm going to toss it across the screen to my other co-host up north in Wisconsin, Mac Vogel. How we doing?
Doing good, living life. It's been a pretty good day off. Got to get some stuff done this morning, feeling a little productive, and now finishing off the evening with an episode. It's also my sister's birthday, so shout out to her. Happy 26th birthday to my sister Cass.
Still the worst fantasy hockey loss I've ever had, just saying.
She's dangerous, honestly, in that league. She knows what she's doing.
What's the weather like up there right now? Just curious.
It is fucking awful. Thanks for asking. It's literally so bad. It was fine. It was like 20s and 30s for like a couple days. And it was like, haha, okay, the winter's coming. And then literally all in like the last 3 days, it's been like when I woke up this morning, it was 8 degrees and then feels like 0. And then like the like warmest part of the day, it got up to like 20 degrees, feels like 8.
That's just
I feel
incredible.
like not to quote the most quoted Midwest cliche of all time, but it's not the cold, it's the wind chill.
Yeah, it's the wind. It's so brutal. I literally left my house once today only, and that was to go get a pizza from Papa John's, which is less than a mile away. And I sprinted to my car and like froze in the car the whole way there, sprinted into the Papa John's, got my pizza, sprinted back. Just terrible. If you don't have to leave your house, don't. There's no reason to.
If you had to choose one chain pizza for the rest of your life, would it be Papa John's? Because I'm on that train.
Ooh, good.
Is that the question of the day?
Is that the question of the day? I hate to steal your thunder.
Why not? Let's make that the question of the day.
So define chain though.
Yeah.
Because
like
technically Pasta Mista is a chain.
Nah, I wouldn't make that a chain. If they have like an online app where you can like get delivery or walk up or whatever, I would consider that a chain.
I'd take Papa John's over Domino's.
I would now, but it didn't used to be that way.
No,
when I was
not
younger,
at all.
it was the opposite. But more recently, Papa John's has like stepped up their game ever since they fired Papa for being racist.
True.
They fired Papa
and
drunk at sporting events, but
yeah, and they got like a new recipe and all that good stuff, and it's pretty good as far as chain pizza goes. Although I will say the Papa John's on Marquette's campus, that has always just been an absolute
That's so clutch.
Dice
too.
roll of an establishment. Like they have no idea what's going on in there. And yeah.
So I will say this, and for all those people who are in the Baltimore Fed Hill area, you know what I'm talking about. Pizza Boli's sucks. Not good at all.
Horrible.
But the one on Cross Street, right off South Charles, where all the bars are, phenomenal. I don't know why. I've had it sober too, so it's not like I'm being biased here, but it's actually pretty damn good. The owners are awesome. You go in, you ask it what they have ready when there's like, 5 drunk girls like throwing up on the side tables, and then all their boyfriends are like, "Oh my god, I don't know why she got so fucked up." Yeah, you just go up, you say, "What you got ready?" Get your cheese and go out. You're done.
Yeah.
I used to get Seasons pizza a lot growing up.
Step into my office. I used to live a block behind the Seasons Pizza in Towson. I'm
Seasons
still
is
friends
good.
on Facebook with the owner. Shout out Matt. That dude is awesome. That was like our neighborhood bar. Like we would go in there on Sundays, get a pitcher and a pie, and he would just be like $5. Just give me $5.
There's also 2 places in Baltimore that are not chains at all that I'm just gonna throw out there because if you know, you know. Zorba's Pizza, that place is amazing. It's like big, like thick pizza, or at least it was. I don't even know if they're still open, but as a kid, that shit slapped. And the other one, I know this one's still open. It's fucking delicious. It's Matthew's Pizza.
Okay, so
that one is just beautiful.
So Yachtlander's a huge Matthews fan, and
that makes sense.
He got it like that's in like where is that? It's off 83 North somewhere.
I want to say it's like not Hamden, but
it's around there.
It's like near, it's in that ballpark area near like 83 exit.
Right. So I've never really had like cheese pizza from there per se, or whatever it is.
I've only had crab pizza. That's like really
they
good
do all
there.
sorts of shit.
Yeah.
But Yachtlander got 2 pies, not pies, but like I guess he like it's like 4 slices and you can like mix and match. He got like 2 boxes that delivered to one of my buddies' house one time, and it was good, but he was like, "This is 5 stars on Yelp. This is the best pizza." Boom. I was like, "Really? I don't think so." I've never tried cheese though, and it wasn't hot, so
but like you gotta 5 stars on Yelp is like asking 18 morons to complain about. I don't know. It's just like I take that with a grain of salt. It's just not. It's not accurate.
He might not have said that, but I'm just gonna say he did. So
true.
Mac, I'll have to try it. And I'm gonna find what's it called? The first one,
Zorba's.
You guys ever been to Verde?
Yes, actually, very good.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a good spot. That's a good spot. All the New Yorkers are kicking themselves right now, like, you don't know what real pizza is. John's on Bleecker Street, which, by the way, is the best pizza I've ever had.
And for all you Midwesterners that are out here, obviously Lou Malnati's in Chicago is a beauty. So. Yeah.
Still haven't been there.
Let's wrap it up with this. What's the best piece of pizza you've ever had?
John's on Bleecker Street.
Okay.
Easy. It's just like, it depends what you like, but it was so flavorful, but I'm a huge thin crust guy. I don't like real thick crust. I could do like 1 slice, but that's about it. When you were eating John's, it was like eating like a cloud that like tasted good, and you just never got full. I never got sick. You could eat a whole pie and you'd be fine.
I will say a close runner-up is this little local place out here called Sal's Pizza. The people that run it are amazing. It's been there for like 20 plus years. But I think the best one I've ever had is it actually might be Lou Malnati's or Matthew's, just because I love their pizza so much. But yeah, one of those 2.
Mine has to be La Piazza on Long Island. There's a bunch of different locations, but this specifically the one like a half mile away from my girlfriend's parents' house in Bethpage. Their buffalo chicken slice, out of this world. I brought it back 5 hours in the car for my family. They ate it. They were like, "That's the best thing I've ever eaten. Period. Done. Game over."
What's it called? La Piazza's?
La Piazza. Yeah.
That just sounds amazing.
Close second, Pappardell's like grandma slice, but with vodka sauce. Oh my God. Game over. I'm done. Put me to bed. 2 of those, and I could sleep for like an hour and a half. It's just fantastic.
All right, let's rip through this episode so we can all go get some pizza.
Seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a long one coming here. What else is new? But before we get started, just want to let you guys know, fall merch, winter merch, there's new gear coming. There's already merch on the store. Go check it out. emptybetters.com. Click on shop. It's also in all of our social media biographies. So go check that out. Why'd I say biography? I don't know. Intern search. We're looking for an intern for some help on the social media game. So if you or anyone you know is looking to get course credit, unfortunately we can't pay, But if they want to get course credit, we can help assist with that. Check us out. Nick, Mac, you guys have some type of form application thing up, right?
We do.
Okay. Where can people find that? Just for the
It's in the link in our bio. It's on our
Okay.
website. If you want it, go get it there. It's being circulated by a bunch of colleges, so jump on it fast.
Yeah, and if you can't find it, just DM us.
Yeah, that too.
Yep, for sure. And then our interview guest for today, ex-teammate of mine and Max, Mason Koster.
Great interview.
Great interview. We just got done wrapping up with him. Really good goaltender that grew up in the Wisconsin area, kind of moved all over the place and ended up playing college hockey. So really nice to talk to him. Super good at interviews too. Like kind of stumped me on that one. So props to you, Mason. But yeah, great to have him.
Big shout out to him. I mentioned it at one point during the interview, but we actually tried to get Mason on. I think I initially hit him up like around 6 months ago, and he was like, yeah, let's do it. And then schedules back and forth. Does this day work? No. Does this day work? Yes. Well, not for me, whatever. Anyway, 6 months later, we got him on. It was a great interview. We're excited for you guys to hear it. So
For sure. So without wasting any more time, let's get into it. And you already know that this episode is brought to you by Brackish Life. Let's take a minute to talk about Brackish Life. If you're like us and grew up on the water and outdoors, then Brackish Life is perfect for you. They have a wide selection of gear from UV shirts to hoodies and hats. It's Real Bay apparel made by Real Bay people. Head to www.brackish.life today to check them out. A little salty, a little fresh, Brackish Life. In case you didn't know, Brackish Life has also teamed up with Rink to Reef Chesapeake Bay to preserve the area many of us call home. Rink to Reef repurposes broken hockey sticks into oyster restoration habitats. Brackish Life donates a portion of their proceeds to Rink to Reef to further preserve the beautiful Chesapeake Bay area. Support this great cause by checking out www.brackish.life today. Also, we just re-upped our sponsorship with Brackish Life. They will be around for another whole year. Love working with you, Kyle. Appreciate you. So go check out Brackish Life. You can find a link to their website on our website, or you can type in www.brackish.life. Go check them out.
If you're in the Maryland area and you want to gear up for the summer, for the winter, whatever, head down to St. Michael's, check out their new location. It looks fantastic. I was talking to Kyle the other day. I think I'm going to get to see him around New Year. So hopefully I get to get really drunk with him like I did last year. That was a ton of fun. So looking forward to that. I don't know if I told you this story. So we were hanging out at my buddy Angus's parents' house on the shore in, the Eastern Shore of Maryland. And we were taking Kyle's boat back and forth to his, there's a little inn on the water in St. Michael's that he had a pop-up store at. So we would just shoot over there with him. He was giving us t-shirts and stuff. And then we would just go back, grab beers, keep going back and forth. The place had a tiki bar with crushes. Oh my God. 10 of them. I think I went through. It was fantastic.
It's amazing. I can't wait to meet Kyle. Still haven't met him. Kyle's the owner for all of you listening and you don't know what's going on. But anyways, I'm going to toss it across to Nick to drive the bus for the league news.
Yeah, so I want to start off with a stat that I found quite interesting for everyone here. So just to let everyone know that you currently have a better chance of being struck by lightning than the Montreal Canadiens do of winning the Stanley Cup.
And the Montreal Canadiens almost won the Stanley Cup last year, but then they got struck by lightning.
Oh,
Ooh,
nice.
That was very
nice.
Good. That might be the best one we've had on the show.
That's good. That's really good.
Nick or Mac, I will pay you $20 if you can pronounce the percentage that the Habs have of winning the Stanley Cup in English words.
0.0065%. And that's about as good as we're going to get.
Anyone got this? I actually don't know. Is it 65 1,000th?
Oh man, you're asking the wrong guy.
Yeah.
Is that sad that we don't know that?
Yeah.
0.0065.
No, this isn't a math podcast.
No, time out. People need to hear this. 0.0065%. How do you pronounce that in English? Please, someone help us. I think it's a 1/65th 1,000th.
So let's round it up to
That
7 just
right.
for shits and giggles here. So it would be would it be a 7
1/100th.
a 7 1,000ths of a percent or something like that?
If it was 0.007, is that what you're saying?
Right? I don't know.
0.007%.
Right.
So it would be 10th, 100.
7 1,000ths of a percent, right? No.
We're posting this in the social. We absolutely have to. This is way too good. We'll figure it out when we hear the comments on Instagram.
I don't know who wants to hit me harder right now, my math teacher or my dad, who had to help me with this homework for 18 years.
Oh man,
I'm getting a headache just thinking about it. So
yeah.
Anyways, let's move on to something that, some team that alleviated a headache. The Vancouver Canucks fired their GM, Jim Benning. This was after, 8 games in a row where the fans were chanting fire Benning. People were tossing jerseys on the ice. It was getting ugly. Chris Gear is going to serve as the interim GM. Travis Green, the head coach, and Nolan Baumgartner are out. And our guy, Bruce, is back and already made a splash in his first press conference, as you guys saw. It's tough. Bruce has been out of the game for a while. It's a little hard for him to get up out of the chair. So he put in a nice little, fuck, when he was getting up. As he's allowed to do. He's above that, threshold. So everyone just calm down and give him some space. But
my sister put it the best. He's such a clown, but you just have to respect it. Like
that man needs to be televised at all times.
I agree.
He is fucking perfect. I love Bruce Boudreau. God, how can you not? He's so funny. He's so himself, and he just doesn't care. Like
shit's not going right.
Yeah, exactly. In that video, just surely the fuck we can figure this out.
Don't call me Shirley.
Nick, that was a great impression, by the way. 10 out of 10.
Oh, it's not like I don't do it myself because I'm 1,000 years old, but so the Canucks are currently dead last in the Pacific. They're 28th in the NHL, 3-7 in their last 10. Tons of rumors going around this team that they could be a complete fire sale, blowing it up with JT Miller, Bo Horvat. I wouldn't expect them to get rid of Petey or Hughes. I think that would be probably too much. That's really the backbone of that team right now. Don't really anticipate them moving Demko unless they get someone sick in return. But what do you guys think?
I don't think that Pedersen or Hughes is in the question, especially since they just re-upped them this past summer. Anyone else, I feel like is fair game. Maybe not Demko, but I do think the rest of the roster is fair game. But here's what I will say, and I texted you guys this yesterday. Boudreau knows how to get the most out of his players. He's a damn good coach. I can't believe he's been out of the game this long.
He also does have a track record of coming in mid-season, taking a struggling team and turning it into a team that can win. He did it when he came in relief of Glenn Hanlon. What was that, Mac? 07-08 when he took the Caps back to the playoffs. Did it in Minnie, did it in Anaheim. So,
yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be good for the Canucks. I think he's a great coach to choose as a rebuild. I do think it is worth noting. I could play it on my microphone. I don't know if we'll insert the audio or whatever, but you can find the clip. They beat the LA Kings last night 4-0 in Bruce's first game behind the bench, and the fans were chanting, "Bruce, there it is." And I thought that was fucking awesome.
That's funny,
hysterical.
It's not that funny because it literally stopped me from winning $100. I placed a 6-way parlay and all 5 of the other ones hit, and all I needed was the Kings. They didn't even have to win. The Kings just needed to cover.
I told you, this is what they do. They fuck up
and I was thinking that the whole time too. I was like, Nick would have never signed off on this bet, and that,
well, I never would have signed off on it because Demko is one of my fantasy goalies and he got me 14 points. So
there you go. But things are looking up in Vancouver. I mean, it can't really get much worse. So help is on the way. But speaking of help not being on the way.
And speaking of can't get much worse, the Philadelphia Flyers have fired head coach Alain Vigneault. Harry, you called this very, very early into this calendar year, I believe. I think the season had not even started yet. You said this guy's not going to last.
No, and I mean, we had some high praise for Philly 2 seasons ago, and then coming into this season, I think we were like, last year we predicted it would happen. It kind of didn't. This year it might, but I'm not sure. And I kind of said, give him like 2 months into the season. If they're not rolling, I think he's getting shit canned, and here we are.
Well, remember they started last season like 9-0 or something like that. And I remember everybody, like us 3 were texting each other like, oh shit, the Flyers are going to be an issue. Like this is the team.
I had them winning the Metro last year.
Yeah, they were going to win the division. Everybody was super scared of them. And they just fell off, missed the playoffs, and it has not been good ever since. So I'd like to say that I would love to see them turn around, but I don't. I hope they stay in the basement and suffer. So
seriously, same. Mike Yeo is going to be the interim head coach. Michel Therrien, the power play coach, was also relieved of his duties, as you can probably guess why. The Flyers have lost 9 in a row following last night's ass whooping against the Avs. I want to ask you guys this. What do you do about Carter Hart? This guy gave up 5 goals on 15 shots before the second period was even 10 minutes old the other night against the Lightning.
Okay, so I was gonna save this for the gambling portion, but I was doing a little research, and you got to hear some of these stats because it ain't looking pretty. The Flyers have lost 9 in a row, and spoiler alert, this is all going to be brought up in the gambling part of the episode after the Mason Koster interview. Flyers have lost 9 in a row. The over in those last 9 games have hit 6 times in that span. Martin Jones started last night against the Avalanche, where the over hit in the first period. It was 4-3 after the first.
And they were losing 4-1 also, and then they climbed back into it and then still lost by a puck line. So
exactly. I think what was the final score? Like 7-4 or something like that?
7 or 6.
Okay. I've said this about Martin Jones before. I said it when they signed him as a backup. Cold morning, hot shit. You pick up your dog with a plastic bag and you carry on. That's Martin Jones. Carter Hart's last 4 starts. You ready for this? The average in those 4 starts is a .818 save percentage. He's allowed 18 goals in his last 4 starts. They are 8th worst in the NHL in terms of the entire season so far in goals against. Nick, to answer your question, I don't know what you do to get Carter Hart rolling. I don't know if it's the defense's problem. And I'm going to be honest with you. I've watched a couple Flyers games, but not many at this point. I'd be curious to get some Flyers fans' perspective. But is this a result of Hart just sucking?
Why does this team kill goalies? That's my question.
They kill every goalie that comes their way. It's from Niedermacher back in 2007 to Carter Hart.
To Briz, to Elliott, to Brian Elliott really is the only consistent goalie the Flyers have ever had. Sorry. But it's like it's going back to like who think of solid Flyers goaltenders. Who can you think of?
It's like Hextall, and that's
Ron Hextall, yeah.
Bernie Parent. Andrew Raycroft, let's be real, but who else?
Yeah, I mean, it in the last 10 years, it's not really there.
Remember when what's his name? Mason let in a goal in the playoffs, literally from like the red line. I think it was like Matt Hendricks or something like that.
Yep.
It was like,
yeah.
That's the Flyers goaltending in a nutshell.
Well, and you know what? The sad part is that maybe in the past, you could blame the defense. They just signed 3 new defensemen, all that are pretty well known.
And I know that like Ellis has had like injury issues and stuff, but it's not like that defense. You look at it and you're like, oh, like that's got more holes than Swiss cheese. It doesn't look all that bad on paper.
No, it really doesn't. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know what it's going to take to turn this team around. And unlike the Boudreau hire, I like Mike Yeo, biased. He used to be the Penguins head coach, but I don't think he's going to be the guy who's going to right the ship for Philly.
Probably not.
Just being fully honest here. So it's not looking good in the city of brotherly love, and I don't know if it's going to get much better. Every Philly sports team is kind of in the garbage can right now.
Well, I mean, come on, we got Minshew Mania right now. I'm there for some mustache, but
did you see the video of him and his dad like hyping each other up after
it was so
game?
Cool.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
The Eagles beat the Jets, right? What, by 5, I think?
You're acting like I watched that game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I didn't either.
Yeah.
I didn't either.
I'm assuming they won, but
yeah.
Vegas Golden Knights goaltender Robin Lehner has been very adamant on Twitter that he's going to turn down Sweden's Winter Olympics invite, and he cites health reasons. So he took to Twitter, basically said, that he doesn't feel that the COVID regulations, during the Olympics would be conducive to his mental health. I think this is great that he's willing to, put himself out there, take this opportunity to make this statement. I'll mention this during the Mason interview, but in Europe, international hockey tournaments are such a huge deal as they are compared into the United States. So, big ups to him for being able to say, hey, I don't think this is the right thing for me. I'm going to take a step back. So kudos to him.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned it in the interview with Mason that you'll listen to here shortly, but one of the things that Lehner also said is that he wanted to make sure that he made it clear why he wasn't going. It wasn't going to get twisted up in some Sports Illustrated thing or NHL.com writers. So, yeah, I mean, when you got that much pressure on you and there are, restrictions and rules in place that can, let's be real, be hard on mental health at times. He's got to do what works best for him, and I give him all the credit for it.
Yeah, he's setting a good example of putting your health and putting yourself first. So props to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Blake Wheeler played in his 1000th game on Sunday night against the Toronto Maple Leafs. By the way, I don't think he scored a goal yet this season. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I did see that stat somewhere. Harry's going to look it up. I want to talk about this game. Mac, you texted us and was like, if you're not watching this game, please turn it on right now. And I did.
That game was pretty intense. Go ahead, Harry.
No goals.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, it was really interesting. I flipped that game on in the third period, at the beginning of the third period, and that was pretty much the right time to do it because there was a lot of fireworks. There was things that ended up turning into suspensions. I guess we don't know yet how those are going to turn out, but long story short, there was a lot of fights. Matthews and Dubois were both like literally wrestling on the like ice, kind of like Kachuk and Lemieux were the other night, although I don't think
it was like a solid like 30 seconds to a minute that they were just like one was on top of the other, just like snowball rolling down a hill.
Looking at them. No, exactly. That's exactly what it was. So that was interesting. That kind of started it all. And then from there, it just got more chaotic. Pionk ended Sandin's night with a knee on knee. And then Spezza clobbered Pionk like badly, like absolutely just train wrecked him, which like, I mean, it was kind of...
He kneed him in the head, for those who haven't seen the clip. Spezza went... He went full speed into Pionk and
it was like
put his knee there.
I think it was charging, kneeing, late hit. It was like a million things at once, but it...
And I think it's worth pointing out that they gave him an in-person hearing, which means that he could get sussied for more than 5 games here. So I think we're looking at something big because he did drive his knee right through that guy's face.
Yep. And then Dylan and Clifford had a spirited bout as well. Those two were fighting a couple of heavyweights, especially Dylan. He's always been a good fighter. So, it was just a very interesting game. The actual hockey game was not super close. I think at one point it was like 5-1 Jets in the second period. And then the Leafs made it like 5-3. And then I think they still lost like, I don't know, 6-3.
Yeah, it was a 2-goal game for a little bit. And then Winnipeg just put the statement on it. But I mean, Simmons was running around trying to fight literally everyone. He grabbed Morrissey and finally Logan Stanley, who I did not realize he was that big, jumps in, and that guy can absolutely throw him too.
Yeah, that game was pure chaos. If you haven't seen the highlights, go look at the third period from last night. I think the most glaring thing to me was just, I mean, Dubois just absolutely, I don't know what the word is. I'm trying to be PC here, but he really just mauled Matthews from behind with like no regard for human life at that point. I mean, he was face washing him in the ice, punching him in the back of the head, trying to put him in like a sumo headlock or rear naked choke or some shit. I don't know, but it got kind of wild. Good thing the ref broke it up. That's all. That was really my takeaway.
Looked like fun. Cale Makar is on pace to become the first NHL defenseman in 15 years to reach 30 goals. And at this point, it's not too far off to think that 40 isn't out of his question. He's got 11 goals in 19 games so far this year and was on pace for 36 as it currently stands. And Colorado's only played 22 games so far.
I don't know if you saw this goal last night, but against our beloved Philadelphia Flyers, he went end-to-end, fake slingshot pass, gained speed on like the smallest crossovers in the neutral zone, and then roof daddies it right over Martin Jones. He's insane.
Do you want to know how to not play defense? Do what the Flyers did. They literally like 5 guys just watched this guy go end to end and roof it.
4, but yes, they're on the PK.
True. Yeah.
Goalie too, though.
The goalie was watching.
There and watched it.
Yeah, no, all right, I'll give it to you. Did Mike Green score 30, or did he get like 28 or 29? Do you know?
I don't think he got 30, but
because
I'm checking into.
I know Nick's gonna check this because I got this stat off the NHL PR Twitter page, so I'm gonna assume that it's right. But when I read it out loud, or when Nick read it out loud, I just thought of Mike Green because obviously that's who you think of when you think of defensemen scoring goals in the.
I don't have the stat just yet. I'm waiting for Elite Prospects to load, which if you've never searched on there takes about forever, but he was up there for a while. I mean, he had that one season where it was just ridiculous the amount of goals that he was scoring.
So even though he's missed some time, Do you guys think that he has a legit chance at the Norris? Because I still think he's going to end up being the one who takes it home at this rate.
Yeah, I think he definitely has a chance.
I think so. 0809, he had 31 tucks.
Wow.
Is that
There you
15
go.
years ago?
It is.
That's 15 years ago?
So he's the one they're talking about, I guess, then.
Yeah,
Holy shit. That's
Wow.
crazy.
that's nuts. I mean, for
Wait.
to think about a defenseman having 31 goals in the NHL is just ridiculous.
That's
I'm
not
not a-
15 years ago.
I'm going to Google this. What's 2021 minus 2008? What is it, 13?
It's like 13 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, PR department. You're on blast from me.
Is it going to be like
Um,
Seabrook or someone with the Hawks? Like, I can't think of who else who reached 30 goals as a defenseman, or is it
No
going to be
way.
like Eric Carlson or someone?
No way Seabrook got that. But I don't know. I'm not going to dwell on it too much.
Okay.
Speaking of goals being scored,
Alex Ovechkin becomes the second fastest player in NHL history to reach the 750 goal mark. He now sits 16 goals away from Jaromir Jagr, who has 766, to tie for third place on the NHL's all-time goal scoring list.
Bang, bang.
bing bong, as the kids are saying right now these days. Yeah, not too shabby. I mean, what the fuck are you gonna say? He just doesn't stop scoring. So
Yeah, I mean, he's
Seriously.
going to get Yager this season for sure, and we'll see where he goes from there. So,
Absolutely. An ugly story I don't want to bring up, but I would be remiss if I did not, involving 16-year-old goaltender Mark Connors of the Halifax Hawks. It's from a U18 AA team. The story comes to us from CBC. Connors, who is black, said he was the subject of racial epithets and taunts during a recent tournament on Prince Edward Island. Connor says the taunts started in the first game of the tournament and continued as he was walking through his hotel lobby with his teammates. The Halifax Hawks president, Spiro Bokolas, has decided none of their teams will play in any further PEI tournaments until the matter is settled. Hockey PEI has launched a full investigation. All Halifax Hawks teams will now be wearing anti-racism helmet decals in support of Connors, who wears the number 31 on his jersey. I'm absolutely disgusted when I open my internet browser and go to, ESPN or like whatever hockey page I followed, and I see something like this because, it has absolutely no place, but it especially has absolutely no place when it's a 16-year-old child who's just playing the game of hockey for fun and is out there with his friends having a great time. And kids and parents and I don't know who else on opposing teams are saying some of these things to this child who are just this is just absolutely disgusting.
yeah, it's brutal. It's hard to believe that there's people out here that are, willing to say some ugly shit like that. But unfortunately, that's the way it is. And, I'm waiting on the day that we're done hearing stories like this. But unfortunately, I don't think that day is going to come soon enough. Obviously, thoughts go out to the kid. I can't imagine what it's like to go through something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
it's absolutely brutal and disgusting. And if you want to, I could sit here and say all these things, but if I read a really great Twitter thread from Kevin Weeks, who knows a thing or two about the position this kid is in and the adversity that he's faced. So if you are on Twitter, go look at Kevin Weeks's page and look at the thread. It's probably a series of 3 or 4 tweets that sum up, his thoughts on this pretty well. And I completely agree with Kevin on everything that he says about this. So
yeah, absolutely. Well said. From people that are trying to repress the game to people that are trying to grow the game, the KHL, which is the Continental Hockey League, that's Russia's version of the NHL, if you don't know, played a game in Dubai over the weekend. And the belief is that the league may be looking to expand into the United Arab Emirates with a new team. Now, if you're not familiar, the KHL isn't specific to Russia. They have teams in the Ukraine. I believe they have like a couple teams in Latvia, Belarus, maybe. And then they also have one in China, if I'm not mistaken. So this could be great. I think hockey in Dubai would be great. I mean, the area's got a ton of money. I think, if they built a great facility, I think people would go absolutely nuts for it.
yeah, I mean, we have hockey in the desert in America, and no reason you can't have hockey in the desert out in the Middle East. So
Absolutely.
that'd be
Yeah.
pretty sick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be dope.
Team Canada has released their World Junior Selection Camp roster, which features, and I quote, 14 players drafted in the first round, a 6'7" goaltender under the age of 20. Jesus Christ. The 2021 first overall pick, Owen Power from the University of Who the Fuck Cares. The 2022 projected first overall pick, Shane Wright from the Kingston Frontenacs. The 2023 projected first overall pick, Connor Bedard. I'm not saying what team he plays for because we're not going to be able to stop laughing. And then Hendrix Lapierre, Mason McTavish, and Cole Perfetti, who all got NHL experience this season.
So, clearly very loaded. If you guys haven't heard of Shane Wright or Connor Bedard, it's pretty much getting referred to as the 2015 McDavid, 2016 Matthews type hype. You get back-to-back first overall picks that are that good. They both happen to be on from Canada, who will probably play on their team this year. I guess my question is, what does this really mean? Because if you guys remember, we were recording in Nick's basement last year in Maryland when Mac was in town. USA was going to take on Canada, I think either that night or the night after. And Canada was loaded. They had an all-time record of first-round picks, I believe. It was something like 19 or 20 or something like crazy like that. And the USA won. So what does this really mean? Yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah,
but
all that to lose 0-2 to, the United States in the final. So
yeah, they hadn't faced any adversity up to that point, and then they didn't know how to, it's a bunch of young guys. So, they didn't know how to react when they got scored on first after literally not trailing the entire tournament. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, this team is stacked. I'm sure that they will probably similarly dominate almost all of their opponents in the tournament. And then you never know what can happen in the championship. Depends on who they're playing and all kinds of other things. So
I do think it's worth noting that Wright and Bedard were both given exceptional status to play in their respective leagues, which means they let you in at 15 because you're that damn good.
Yeah, I don't think it's any secret these two kids are going to be absolute superstars in the NHL in the coming years. And I'll say it again, 15, 16, McDavid, Matthews, that's the kind of hype that these kids are getting. So if Canada has both, it's going to be tough. And I think Lapierre is going to absolutely tear that up, by the way. He looked pretty good with the Caps this season. So now him going against, under 20, it's just going to be nuts.
Children. But yeah, the Tampa Bay Lightning and Nashville Predators both released jerseys for their upcoming Stadium Series matchup. Tampa Bay's featured a white sweater with a diagonal blue font that says Bolt and a lightning-esque blue jagged bottom edge. Nashville's featured a navy blue sweater with a yellow gold band around the middle with the word Smashville in a blue font. I want to hear your thoughts.
Stupid.
Both?
I couldn't really get behind either one. I saw a post that listed all of the stadium jerseys that have ever been made. And maybe it's a hot take, maybe it's not. They all kind of suck, in my opinion.
There's some really bad ones.
They're all doing too much. It's bad when what I literally think is the best one was the Caps and Maple Leafs ones. And even those are really not great, in my opinion. But I don't know. I think the Stadium Series jerseys just try to do something too futuristic and too weird for me.
Can we let's get this out of the way right now. Nashville's is the worst of the two, correct?
Nashville's is the worst of all time, correct?
Yeah.
That is horrible. Who designed that? Oh my God.
Who designed any of their jerseys? My Caps friends, their group chat, someone texted and they were like, what is going on? And I said, this team can't design a sweater to save their lives. Think about the jerseys that team has had.
Yeah, it's bad. And especially their current ones, they look like Walmart jerseys, but it's really bad when you've got, random designers on Twitter who just submit mock-ups of stuff and they look phenomenal. And then Adidas just hasn't really done a great job so far. If I had to say out of 10, you rate these out of 10, Nashville's, I'm not even joking, 0. It's the worst one ever made.
Wow.
If you haven't seen it, go look. It's terrible. The letters don't even fit the fucking badge, the yellow band.
I agree. The only thing I will say that is good about the Nashville one is I like the navy blue color for them with an accent of yellow. I think they were onto something there where maybe they should have an alternate that's navy, because do you remember the old navy blue one that was an alternate jersey that they had that was literally all navy blue with a few white stripes on it and the Predator on the front? That's a good jersey. So they were onto something with the mostly navy blue thing, but it went all downhill from there.
It's just like, I don't know who needs to hear this, but this whole stripe around the middle thing doesn't work unless you're Montreal. They're the only team that can make that work. No one else try it. Just be done with it.
I agree with you. Tampa's. I like it. I think it's cool. I don't think it's perfect, but I think it's cool. I would probably give it like a 7.3 out of 10, somewhere in that range.
I don't hate it. I would drop it maybe down a little bit more than there, but it's not awful. I think it'll look a lot better when it's on the ice. I think it's going to look 1,000 times better, considering, I mean, we might say this is a 10 when we see it compared to the Preds one, but yeah, I was a fan.
It's okay. I've never been a big fan of the whole bolts thing. They had another jersey that said that at one point. That was pretty bad.
Blue one. Yeah.
I don't know. It's a cool nickname, I guess, because it gives you something that's one syllable that you can chant in the arena. But other than that, I don't think they need to put it on a jersey.
It's fair.
Yeah. Let's move on and do the NHL 3 stars of the week. First up, we have Jonathan Huberdeau of the Florida Panthers. He had 1 goal, 8 assists, and 9 points in 3 games played. Second star is going to be Victor Hedman of the Tampa Bay Lightning, 2 goals, 6 assists for 8 points in 4 games. And the third star is Jake Gensel from the Penguins, 5 goals, 1 assist, 6 points in 3 games. He is hot right now. Out of those performances, who would you say is the most impressive?
Come on, you gotta ask me that question.
It's gotta be Gensel. I can't even lie here. Victor Hedman, we expect good things from him when he comes through, and Huberdeau kind of more of the same. He's a top tier player, and that's not to take something away from Gensel. He's a top tier player as well, but I think he's putting up numbers that is even impressive for knowing what he's capable of right now. So
yeah,
Gensi's hot. I will say Hedman, God bless you on the puck line cover the other night. Can't remember who they played, but he scored 2 goals to finish off that puck line cover for me. So I do owe him for that. We know what Huberdeau does. I'll get into more Jake Gensel stats later in the episode on the gambling part, but he's red hot right now. He's the hottest player in the league.
Yeah, looks like it. Before we move on to our interview with Mason Koster, we just want to remind everyone that summer may be over, but there's still never been a better time to get out on the ice. I mean, water. Are you looking to finance that new boat or yacht you've always dreamed of? Well, you're in luck, because the Yacht Lender is a specialist in marine finance. With partnerships with 15 different banks, he is the right lender for whatever vessel you may be in the market for. Backed by Trident Funding with over 25 years as an industry leader, the Yacht Lender has the expertise and know-how to finance the boat of your dreams. Don't wait. Apply today at yachtlender.com or check him out on Instagram at yachtlender to see others who have already gotten out on the water. We're going to go ahead and toss it off to Mason right now.
All right. And it is now my pleasure to welcome onto the Empty Betters podcast, Mr. Mason Koster. Mason, how's it going?
Good, man. How you doing? It's been a while.
Yeah, doing good. Thanks for joining us today. Just a little background for all you listeners. Mason, he and I go way back. We played for the Baltimore Stars together. I'm repping the jersey right now. Would have been U16 age group, I believe. Also played with friend of the pod, Stephen Baker, and played with him on St. Paul's for a little while as well. But we're here to talk mostly about all the awesome places that Mason got to play hockey at after St. Paul's and the Baltimore Stars. So we'll start this one the way we start all of them. Mason, tell us a little bit how you first got into hockey. What are some of your first hockey memories from growing up as a kid?
So my first hockey story is always so funny. I started when I was 5. I was a forward. I made the Mite C team my first year. We went C. We had 2 C teams, a B and an A, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, actually, of all places. Anders Bjork was actually my age group, not a big deal. Needless to say, he took off a little better. But I played my first year forward. I was okay. And then the next year I made the C team again, my second year of Mites. And these coaches were talking in the rink and they were like, oh, we don't have a goalie for the Mite B team. And my mom, being the voluntary person she is, overheard the conversation and goes, oh, my son will play goalie. That's no problem. I'll tell him right now. He's about to get off the ice.
That is such a mom thing to do. I can imagine my mom doing that to me. And you're just like, well, guess I'm playing goalie.
No, I did not have that attitude. I was pissed. I was not happy about it because I thought I could progress as a forward. But I said, you know what? I'll do this anyway. Threw on the pads backwards wrong the first time. got him switched up, went on the ice, and I said, oh, maybe I can do this. And we actually ended up winning the state championship that year, 1-0 in triple overtime.
Wow.
I think that was the peak of my hockey career, and I'd still say it was a fun time since. But those were good days playing in Milwaukee, and happy I started goalie.
Did you grow up in Wisconsin? Is that where you're from?
No, so I'm originally from Chicago, but then we moved out to Milwaukee when I was 4. And then, I grew up playing youth in Milwaukee for the single A team. Milwaukee Winter Club was the name of the club, and then played 1 year Milwaukee Junior Admirals AAA when I was 12, and then moved out to Vermont.
So do you know, I'm not sure if you know, but I live in Milwaukee now. And do you remember like what rink you guys played at, just out of curiosity?
So we played when I played for Winter Club, we played at University School up in Mequon.
Oh, okay. Wow.
We lived right up there. And then for Junior Admirals, we played at Pettit, which was just the sickest rink we could have played at.
That's where I play my beer league at now, is at Pettit.
Oh, no shit. Oh, that's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What sparked the move to Vermont? Was that parents' work? Is it just something? I don't know.
Yeah, parents' work. My dad got a good offer. I think, it was right after the 2008 crisis. He got an offer at a asset management firm as the chief investment officer. All their investment guys got tanked and their numbers went way down. And my dad got brought over to go bring them way up. And he was like, hey, this could be a fun opportunity. And his job in Milwaukee wasn't satisfying him like he thought he would. So he's like, hey, let's pack everybody up and move to the East Coast. And it's been fun. I mean, we still live out here to this day. I'm still working out here. It's a good spot.
What part of Milwaukee was that did you move to? And then you want to walk us through the hockey scene that you had there?
In Milwaukee or in Vermont?
Vermont, my bad. I misspoke.
Oh, you're good. So we moved to Charlotte. It's like 30 minutes south of Burlington, where UVM's at. We lived on the lake, so all summer was lake life, going on boats and everything. In terms of hockey, I first started playing for one of like the local teams it was called Chittenden South Burlington, same thing, like single A program. And then I played Green Mountain Glades, which was the dominant AAA team at the time in Vermont. And we were playing teams in like Boston, New Hampshire. I actually got to play against Colin White. That was pretty horrifying.
Oh, wow.
He was a 6'2", 190-pound 8th grader. That was
Freak.
That was pretty horrifying. But going around and playing all over the East Coast during that time was a lot of fun. A lot of early morning drives over to Boston. That was fun. Then played a couple years high school in Vermont, which was a joke. I played horribly that whole time. It wasn't a good headspace. The coaches were bad. The players were toxic, in my opinion, and it just wasn't a good fit. And then the move down to Baltimore came after my sophomore year, going into junior year, and played with a lot nicer guys. Matt can attest. And the hockey was definitely a downgrade.
I'd like to have fun, but yeah, definitely it was. I mean, I remember when you were on our team, it was like, okay, this goalie is definitely playing below his like grade of play. But I mean, we were happy to have you because we were winning games. So
yeah, and I was more happy about that. It was good to transition from losing a lot of games to winning a lot of games. And what I didn't think about was trying out for AAA teams, because I'd been in high school for so long, that tryouts for AAA teams are like that March, April, May period. And we moved down in August, and I missed all those tryouts. But I skated like with Team Maryland, Skip Jackson's guys, and they were like, you can kick to the side. But that year I played with the Baltimore Stars in St. Paul's it was fun because I figured out how to win again.
How much was your contract worth there? I'm fucking with you. So I know Mac introed you and you guys played together, but I brought this up before the show started, and I actually got to play with you for a little bit in the 2013 year, I believe it was.
Yep.
You were bouncing between U16 Baltimore and U18. Mac was at the U16 team. I was on the U18 team. Just talk about, like, obviously the skill level got downgraded, but what made it so fun? Like, are there any guys or coaches or any people that, really made your experience like fulfilled, even though you were probably playing way below your means?
That's a good question. It certainly made me focus harder. I've always felt like I've been a bit of a bigger game goalie, like when the stakes were higher. So I really actually loved all those games against like Calvert Hall, Gonzaga, Georgetown Prep, schools like that. where you're getting pumped with like 60, 70 shots a game. Those were always fun, but it helped me focus more on the games where it was a lot slower and I had to be within myself and be like, okay, like I have to kind of take control of the situation and realize that I still have a job to do. In terms of guys that helped me, the first name that stood out was Sam Kaplan, which is our coach for St. Paul's. Really bright hockey guy. He was a New England guy as well. He certainly knew what he was doing. He really took the time with me and understood what my goals were and helped kind of push me a little bit more in the direction I wanted to go. Because all the other guys at St. Paul's and in Baltimore hockey, Mac, you can attest. I mean, they're just out there having fun, staying active, playing for their school, trying to win a chip. But he knew that I wanted to go further and he helped me do a lot with that. Sarah Grimshaw as well, the assistant coach, she was a big hockey gal. She worked with me a lot. She actually worked with me a lot academically. I was struggling academically. And she helped me push to that level and go, listen, if you want to play in college, these are the things that you're going to have to do. So I had really good help and support, both on and off the ice at St. Paul's. And that was certainly something that helped me transition further into juniors and in college.
You talked about people that were important, in your development as you went on in high school. What about when you were younger? Who were some goalies that you looked up to, or teams or players you looked up to when you were younger?
Good question too. Martin Brodeur was the first goalie I idolized, right? I mean, the sick athletic saves, the diving sprawls, the winning culture that he was about, his sense of humor on the ice. I mean, who didn't look up to Martin Brodeur? Even forwards can attest that he was probably one of their favorite goalies, especially you, Mac. I heard in the last episode, the first J you got was a White Devils J. I'm sure you can attest the same thing.
Yeah, I was a big Marty guy. I loved him. It was so fun to watch.
No, for sure. But then when I grew up this was sick. When we grew up in Milwaukee, all those sick guys that ended up playing for Nashville, like Shea Weber, Pekka Rinne, Ryan Suter, all those guys were the guys that I watched, religiously. And especially being a child of the Corn, going to Mitch Corn camps, I got to meet some of those guys when Mitch was in town. And there was a kid I actually played with in Milwaukee. His dad was the owner of the Milwaukee Admirals, and we sat right with them on the glass for most of the game. We got to go back. I've met Pekka a couple of times when I was a kid, and watching those guys transition and grind in the A. They lost a Calder Cup one year to Hershey. Watching those guys make that transition after being in Milwaukee for 5, 6, 7 years, it was really cool, and I still watch them to this day.
Admirals games are a ton of fun too, and they love talking about how Pekka played there and Shea played there, which why wouldn't you talk about it? It's pretty sick, but a lot of people kind of forget. Obviously, we think of Nashville when we think of those guys, but they all started with Milwaukee.
Got to go back to your roots, right?
Yep.
You say Mitch Korn and Nick hears Mitch Porn and starts getting a little chub over there.
Big Mitch Korn guy.
Long-time listeners know.
Yeah.
Nick, can you remind me what was the first time that you brought up Mitch Korn on the show? There was
just
5
any
episodes.
Caps goalie ever. Just between Varley, Nuvi, Sammy, up to now, he's touched them all. Starting with Ole and then going from there.
True, and then obviously Mac alluded to this, and I'm not aware of all that's gone down since you left Baltimore, but sounds like you had a pretty cool experience with a bunch of different teams afterwards. Do you want to walk us through that timeline?
Yeah, sure. So the first junior team I played for was in Syracuse, the Syracuse Stars for the USPHL. I was going to be on the U18 team. They actually brought up, oh my God, what's his name? Jake Sabrin. Wasn't that his name, Mac?
Wait, like Jake Sabrin that I played with?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Cool.
He went there with me. He ended up being on the U18 team, and he ended up playing a lot. I got put on the elite team. I think they saw me play once and they're like, we'll put him on elite. And I really didn't play that much going on. They brought in a couple sick goalies. The one kid was like this 5'7" kid from Buffalo who could move like the wind. That was kind of a tougher spot just because we were in Syracuse and we all lived in the same apartments. It was fun hanging out with the guys, but there definitely wasn't a lot outside the rink. And our practices were 3 hours long. So, and I'd work out every day before or after it. So I'd get to the rink at like 10:30, workout. There was a gym at the rink, workout, get on the ice at 12:15, get off at 3:30. And then by the time you get home, you're toast. All you want to do is lay in bed and watch Netflix for 7 hours. Definitely crushed some shows in that. But then after that, I went to Nashville and played in the NA3 out there. And gosh, I mean, what an experience.
Sounds like a time.
Well, we were at 21 at the time, and they
Oh.
were super strict about fakes. We actually had one teammate try to go with a fake out downtown on Broadway. And the bouncer was like, listen, if you don't leave right now, we're going to call the cops. So that got shut down pretty quick. But JP Dumont was actually my head coach.
That's awesome.
One of my best friends on the team was living with him. So we'd always be over at his mansion, hanging out all the time with the boys. I mean, that was
Not
like
too shabby.
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all. The hockey was actually better than I initially thought. Those teams that we were playing had a few NA drops. So the competition definitely got a little bit better. And I played way more. I still had like a below a 500 record, but it was a much better experience. I finally had that like core group of dudes that I was playing with. We still kind of keep in touch to this day. And then I had no offers coming out of that. But my advisor and coach, Jason Wolf, one day in June was like, hey, did you get a call from Ohio University? And I was like, no, was I supposed to? And he was like, yeah. And I ended up talking to the coach there, and they had a goalie that was initially committed, but he dropped, and I ended up going there. Best 4 years ever.
You got an elite prospects page, so that's kind of sick.
What are we looking at? 2,000 views?
I don't know if I can see that. That damn subscription I paid for $9 a month ain't working, I guess. But no, I wanted to look it up just to see while you were talking there. Yeah. So Ohio University, you say best 4 years ever. Walk us through that now.
God. So I'll say this. I'll tell anybody that's a 21-year-old junior kid, kind of on that D3 brink, go to a big school and play in the top tier of the ACHA. And no disrespect to any of those guys like Sean or Steven or any of those guys that played ACHA. I mean, it's good hockey. They had a blast, but we were playing in the top 5 of the ACHA every year. There were D1 drops, D3 drops, high level junior teams. The UNLV team that we played was stacked with AJ guys. I mean, it is super, super legit hockey. You're paying half the cost of tuition. You're not training your ass off every day. You're not waking up at 6 a.m. and lifting. We did sometimes, but it's a perfect balance of playing hockey, working out 3-4 hours a day. And you go to a 25,000 person school versus a 3,000 person school where everybody, you do the same stuff every night. But at a big school, I mean, you can make it as small as you want. You can make it as big as you want. I mean, it was the best environment I could have possibly gone to college at. We packed the rink every night. I mean, it was amazing.
Plus,
Some
win or
sweet
lose, you
unis, too.
booze.
There you go. Sweet
Yeah.
uniforms though for Ohio too. I've always been a big fan of, like, was that a Bobcat or
Bobcats.
yeah,
Yes,
that's
sir.
a cool logo.
Yeah. I don't know which jerseys you got to take a look at. We switched a couple times. We went with the retro style where it was just Ohio green coming across and then the pinstripes coming down. I don't know if you got to look at the camos. I know I got a picture of the camos on my Instagram. Those were always clean, a good military appreciation night. And then we started flirting around with a couple other jerseys. We did an all white, which wasn't really an all white. We did a tuxedo night. We had an Athens youth hockey jersey where the jerseys mimicked like the Athens youth hockey organization. We did manage to get some cool sweaters. Very tight fitting though. Definitely not good for goalies. They were very tight on the arms.
Dang. What you mentioned, like, you guys would pack the student section every night. What was that like? What was the atmosphere? Talk a little bit more about just kind of the fan atmosphere and that part of it.
So it's a super old style rink. I think it was initially made as a dance hall back in the 40s or 50s. And then when the program initially started, they were NCAA D1 playing in the Big Ten. So they were playing like Wisconsin, Ohio State, Michigan, like all those big schools. So they made it like legit stadium seating style all around the sides. You can fit a few hundred people in there, 600-700 people. Maybe I'm overshooting that, but we would pack the place. There were certainly students. I mean, we get the tickets, you bring in some girls every now and then, but it was mostly people of the Athens community that were coming and cheering on. It was like playing in those NA towns where the fan sections are, the townspeople of wherever you live. And they'd get all behind it, big chants going through the crowds, banging on the glass. We had one of the guys that headed the Blue Line Boosters, their kid wore a T-Rex costume, like one of the big T-Rex blow-up costumes, and wore one of our Ohio hockey jerseys, and he'd run around with a stick tapping on the glass. It's hilarious. But it was a really electric atmosphere to play in ACHA college hockey. And whenever I brought people over, like my brother or my cousin who goes to Ohio State, whenever they'd come, they would love it.
What are some of the other schools that you would consider like in that top 5 echelon that you guys played? Just for listeners who, I'm glad you brought it up. If you're on the brink and you needed to make a decision, you have that experience. And I know we have a couple of those listening.
Yeah. So Lindenwood was our rival school, and we're always like in the top 5 every year. I think they won a national championship while I was there, or at least made it. They actually had one kid my freshman and sophomore year who was a UMass Lowell transfer, one of the best defensemen I've ever seen play personally on the ice. They're actually going D1, actually, as a matter of fact. So I don't know what their ACHA program is going to look like, but it's funny. They're actually right now, they have an NCAA roster. Like they brought in all these NA captains and whatever, and they're playing an ACHA schedule for the first half of the year, and they're just blowing teams out left and right. But they can't compete in the national tournament because of the roster that they have, and they're kind of starting to mix in some games with NCAA teams. Liberty is the other best one that I can think of. I don't know if you guys have gotten a chance to look into that program, but it is a legit like 4,000 seat, like NCAA looking D1 rink. I mean, it is multi-million-dollar rink. It is pimped out. Wow. They pack the place every night. I'd go look at it at some point. Go take a look.
I know that school's got some money, so.
Oh, they're loaded, and they show it. The players are super talented. They get kids from all over the world, really. I mean, they had this one really sick Swedish kid. Actually, the best kid I've ever seen on the ice was a 5th year, my freshman year, who came from Holy Cross and laid out our captain, who was an absolute monster. Adrian has a really good team. They dropped their D3 cuts to that ACHA D1 team. They're really highly ranked. Minot State, another really good program up in North Dakota. Big, tall farm Canadian kids that will just absolutely hammer it down. But it's mostly Midwest schools, those big Midwest schools. So our conference was Illinois, Iowa State, Lindenwood, what was Robert Morris, but now Roosevelt University out of Chicago. And I mean, it's super rough and tough style hockey. It's incredible.
You seem to be pretty in tune with like the college hockey atmosphere, I guess I'll say. So I'll ask you a question here that Mac actually had as a question of the day a couple weeks ago. If you could play, let's say you're, D1, you're probably going to go to the NHL, but you're going to go to college first. If you had a choice of where you would play at any school in the country, do you have a pick that comes to your mind first?
Ooh.
And don't think of it like, oh, like what school is going to set me up best to like have the best NHL career or anything like that. Just think about like true, like atmosphere. I think the things we were factoring in last time was what, like the crowd atmosphere, the overall like hype of the program.
Yeah.
What else there is to do there.
Yeah, exactly. The city, where it's located, all that.
Yeah, that's how I took the question, but thank you for clarifying. I'm going to be biased because I went to these games all the time, but University of Wisconsin, going to those games was just insane. Oh my God. I still remember being like, 8, 9 years old, going to see Wisconsin play the University of Minnesota, and there's tens of thousands of people screaming their heads off. I mean, what a place.
I mean, I can't lie. Yeah, it's a sick program. I just hate the Badgers because I went to Marquette. That's why Harry's giving me shit right now. But
is there beef there?
Oh, I mean, mostly just because of like basketball and like we hate each other for that reason. But I'm also a little salty because they just absolutely smoked Marquette in basketball like last weekend. So
yeah,
but no, you're right. It's a sweet program, and they always produce like a bunch of NHLers. So
yeah, and they just have a time. And I mean, the town of, I don't know, Mac, if you've gotten a chance to go into the town of Madison.
Madison is a ton of fun. I will definitely give it that. That is a sweet city. I've seen a couple of concerts up there and gone to some shows, and I would love to go to as much as I hate them, I would love to go to a Badgers football game or a hockey game.
Yeah. And I'm a big school guy advocate. I mean, you can make it as big or as small as you want. And it seems like a really tight knit community. And it's kind of like where I went to college, where there was no beef with all these small schools that I've visited buddies at. There's always kind of this beef between cliques, like certain athletic teams, certain frats, certain friend groups, things of that nature. And it makes for a slightly more hostile vibe. But at big schools like that, like for where I went, like if you're a Bobcat, like you're a Bobcat, like everyone's going to be around you no matter what. And if there's a bad egg in that group, they're going to be dropped immediately. So to be around that kind of community is just really awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and it kind of gets off the topic of hockey, but like Nick and I went to Towson. I don't know if you remember that, from right down the street from Mount Pleasant. Not a small school, probably what, Nick, like 20,000,
22, I think now,
something like
22,000 kids.
So maybe you could consider medium size, but yeah, I agree with you in that you can make it as small or big as you want, and I think that definitely factors. But being a Badger would obviously be pretty freaking cool. I mean,
Yeah, I'd say so.
So are you keeping up with the game today? You follow NHL? Any buddies that, went really far and you're kind of following them?
Not really, honestly. I haven't really been watching too much hockey this year. I'll go on Instagram and see highlights of stuff every now and then. I've been big into football season though, honestly, as of right now. This has been a really fun NFL season.
Are the Patriots the real deal?
It sure looks like it. I don't watch them too much. I'm a Packers fan, and
Okay.
we started.
I can get behind that. That's cool.
Well, I mean, I grew up there. I mean, I grew up in the prime Aaron Rodgers,
True.
Donald Trump era, the Jordy Nelson era. I grew up in it. It was just
No, I get that. No one's gonna give you shit for that, especially since you're from there.
Yeah, definitely.
Mac, Nick, you guys got any more hockey questions? You're kind of crushing the interview though, eh? Like,
Yeah, seriously.
You're pretty easy. You're pretty easy. We don't have to drag much out of you. Appreciate that.
What's with all the goalies just like being so talkative? Like I feel like every goalie we've had on this show is just an open book and like gives us the best answers and stuff like that. Just must be like a head
Dude,
thing.
we're by ourselves. We're by ourselves there. We have so much going on in our heads. People just think we're weird, and
So I'll run through some speed questions that I always like to ask goalies, and some of these might be tough. So I'll if it takes a little bit, it's okay. But coolest mask you've ever seen?
Coolest. Okay. I actually saw one. I don't know if this is the. Oh, okay. I have two answers to this question.
Okay.
There's one old style one. I can't remember who wore it. I think it was a California Seals goalie from way back in the day. You should look it up. It's the old style, just like mask, but it's like a jaguar along the front, or one of those.
Gilles Gratton, who used to play for the Rangers, printed a tiger on his mask, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Look at you. All right.
Yeah. I went to college, guys. Come on.
You paid attention. I love it. So that's one that pops into my head. I always really liked the Cujo and Eddie Belfour helmets. Those were always cool. I love the guys who play for the San Jose Sharks who make it like the teeth coming around the edges of the cage. I think those are absolutely disgusting.
I was always a big fan of Patty Lalime when he was in Ottawa. I mean, he was an absolute sieve, but like Marvin the Martian on the helmet, Ole Kolzig with Godzilla, like, Hobby Bulin, the Bulin wall, and like the chin is like a brick wall. That was so cool.
The pop culture stuff is always cool on the helmet.
Yeah, they are. Those are the ones that I can think of. I'm sure there were plenty more in my head that I can't bring to life.
They're speed questions, so it's all good. If you're a goalie, and I don't know if this is a myth, if you had a choice of pads, do you wear white or black? Because I feel like nowadays they say like if you wear black, it like blends the puck in. So I'm seeing more goalies switch to black, but I don't know.
Black pads are just kind of dust, in my opinion. I'd go white.
I agree with you. I'm more of a white pad guy. I think they look cleaner.
Yeah. For sure.
Speaking of black, white, does the tape job matter seeing the puck or no?
No, hell no. I don't know. I think it's stupid. I think just white just looks so much cleaner. Plus it kind of holds you accountable to actually like take care of your stuff. Like if you use all black, like you could just let it go, and you could secretly be really dust and no one knows. But if you keep it clean with white and everything, big props.
Those are my 3 speed round questions that I always ask goalies.
Who's got the best shot that you've ever faced? Just like, I don't know if it was like this kid's just got the book on me, or, anytime I like give him a half second, he's putting one past my ear hole.
Does it have to be a kid or can it be anybody?
Anybody.
Okay. The answer to this question is JP Dumont's shot. Oh my God. I still remember every now and then in practice, he would come down on me from like just inside the blue line and just barely flick his wrist. And he had the smallest blade ever. And he'd put it right over my left shoulder in the blink of an eye. I wouldn't see it, back bar it. I mean, it was so stupid.
Just in, out, done.
Yeah, in, out, done. I'm trying to think of who else. There were a couple kids on Lindenwood that I can think of that had some pretty ridiculous shots. I had one teammate, Gianni Evangelisti, who definitely put some pucks by me. He had an absolute rip if he could get it off. But JP Dumont by far, I mean, old NHL player, one of the best scorers of Nashville history. I mean,
scored 20 goals in 6 different seasons, just for the record. So yeah, that kind of lines up.
Yeah, makes sense.
I got a good one. And just for more background of those of you listening, when Mason was on my team for the Stars, his younger brother Sawyer was also on our team as a forward. And I always wonder like what it's like. I've actually now gotten to play with 2 different sets of brothers where one was the goalie and one was a skater. The others are Mike and Jack Finn, who have also been on this podcast. But I'm curious just like what it's like playing on the ice when like your sibling is also on the ice, especially when like you're the goalie and like, I don't know, have you ever seen like your brother make like a shit play and then like next thing you know, puck's behind you and you're like pissed at him or like something like that?
So when it comes to something like that, and it's somebody that you're around all the time, you kind of put them you have an expectation level for them because you know where it is. And if they don't meet it because of that emotional tie that you have with them, it's exponentially more frustrating than just like any other teammate. I can think of a game where we were playing Loyola, and he went like 0 for 15 or 20 on shots. He just kept shooting it over the net. And I can still remember to this day just screaming at him from across the ice. He kept missing, and he finally jarred one from like just inside the red line. He literally went 1 for like 22, and he was so fired up. And I still remember just being so very mad at him that he just kept shooting and just kept glassing it. I ended up one of them, he like rimmed it. He took it from the left and he rimmed it all the way around for a 3-on-0. And I was so mad. Saved it, whatever. But
did he ever score on you by accident?
Not that I can think of.
That's a step in the right direction, because when we had the Finn brothers on, that was probably one of the funniest
I was
stories.
wondering why you brought that up. I was like, did that happen?
No, that was one of our older interviews. God, probably 2 years ago at this point.
Well over 2 years ago.
Yeah, Jack was a defenseman. Mike was the goalie. Jack accidentally like batted the puck into the goal, and I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like, it was so funny.
It was in the middle of like I think it was like a 7-1 blowout too.
Yeah, it was awesome. I always like to bring that up, and it's funny that you had a brother that played out, so that's pretty cool.
Tomahawk swung him for sure.
The benefit of it though is growing up, I mean, at least like you got one guy shooting and one guy in goal in the driveway and stuff, right? Like it's a pretty good dynamic for street hockey.
Yeah, we did always do that. We'd take turns. We took turns shooting on each other and destroying the drywall in the basement. You guys know how it goes.
Oh yeah.
Yep. I think my dad's still pissed about that.
Ours probably is too.
You got any questions for us? You're good at this. You might have a career in answering shit.
It's my job to talk to people. I'd hope I'd be good at it.
What are you doing? What are you doing now? Actually, I'm just curious.
So I majored in psychology in college, and now I work at an inpatient mental health facility up in Vermont.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
Kind of a floor staff, just kind of doing stuff around the house, but then also like getting into one-on-one conversations, people doing some case management stuff, trying to get people where they need to go, sitting in meetings, interviews, things of that nature.
That's awesome.
That's very cool. That was something that I potentially would have explored back in the day, but I'm just a desk monkey now, trying to make a podcast work. But yeah, we really appreciate you joining us. It's very rare that we run out of questions, so I would take that as a compliment.
What are you playing any hockey now, just for fun at all, or?
Not really right now. My senior year, we had this coach who just really wasn't fit for the job. Just really kind of just no interpersonal communication skills. Sat me for a lot of the time. Was playing his goalies that he recruited. Just left a bad taste of hockey in my mouth, honestly. But I will eventually make it out there. I'm trying to focus on my career right now, get that launched. Eventually go into grad school, things of that nature. But
Sure.
right now I'm just kind of taking it off.
Yeah, no, I hear that. It's cool too. Like you're honestly, even though psychology, a lot of people wouldn't think necessarily relates. Obviously, sports psychology is becoming more and more of a thing, and there's definitely a lot of room for growth with hockey's relationship with mental health and psychology, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. And it's been really cool. Like with the Kyle Beach story and things of that nature, getting guys to come out about their issues and Robin Leonard too. I mean, especially for attendee, having guys, the whole Me Too movement about guys coming out about their issues and I mean, the boys would back you up any day of the week. But to put it out into the community and just reminding all these fans that, hey, these guys are human beings too. They have feelings, they have emotions, they go through struggles just like, you and me. And
They just happen to be really, really good at a game.
They just happen to be really good at hockey.
Yeah.
It's funny you bring up Laner too, because I don't know if you saw this, but he literally just went on Twitter like over the weekend and basically announced he wasn't going to play in the Olympics for Team Sweden.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine based on what I'm hearing, the COVID protocols over there are like extremely strict. Just to try to reduce all the risk involved. And he basically said like, I talked to my psychiatrist and like, from a mental standpoint, I don't think it's the smartest thing for me to do for, a month to a month and a half at a time. And, he basically said Markstrom's going to get the nod and he'll be great for the country, but it's just not for me this year. And I'd give him mad props for that. I mean, it takes a lot of balls to come out and say that, let alone on Twitter.
Yeah, it does take some huge cojones to say that. And Markstrom is a sick goalie. He's one of my favorite NHL goalies to have been watching. But yeah, that is really tough. And it does take a lot to say something like that. But it's good for him. And there's a lot of athletes right now coming out and saying, I don't want to compete, like the whole Simone Biles thing too. Just kind of taking time off for herself and, recognizing that you have to grow and you have to kind of hit this reset button after competing for so long. And, if you have the guys to fill it, why not?
It's also a big deal. Like, I mean, I think here in the States, like, yeah, hockey in the Olympics is a big deal, but in Europe, like international hockey tournaments are such a big deal. It's like, it's almost, the atmosphere is like the Champions League for soccer. So for him to come out and say that he doesn't want to do that, I think is really admirable.
Well, that gives a totally different light. I know in the States, we're working a lot on the stigmatization of mental health and getting people more and more to talk about it and be more accepting and validating. I don't really know how that works in other countries. So I almost fear for him, like he could get some shit for it. But he's setting that boundary for himself. And that's kind of what it's all about is, setting your limits and not really caring what other people think of them.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah.
I think you definitely, once you get down the road and you pursue your master's, like you were saying, I could definitely see just by talking to you something in the sports psychology realm. I think you'd be really good at that.
Yeah, I think I would do that.
Mac,
maybe
sorry.
not on the front end, but definitely on the side. I mean, when I have kids, I mean, I definitely anticipate coaching them and, implementing both the hockey and the psychology side into it and trying to make everybody around me the best athletes that they can be.
Big ups for that. I do have one more question. I think this will be a good, fun one to end on. Do you have any interesting, I'm going to say like travel stories? Obviously in college hockey, there's probably a lot of bus trips, probably a lot of interesting hotel trips and that kind of stuff. I'm curious if you have any random funny stories along those lines that we can end on.
There is. Well, there were a couple of times where we snuck booze in on the road. I remember. So to put in the backstory, I didn't play much in college. I really didn't. The goalie that was ahead of me ended up being the best goalie in OU hockey history. Shout out Jimmy Thomas. But there was a weekend where he was suspect for 3 games for blockering a guy in the face. Maybe he threatened the ref. I don't know. I didn't hear anything.
Who knows, right?
Yeah, honestly, he definitely did. But I remember I was after that, I had to be in net on an away weekend to Lindenwood, who at the time was fourth in the country, and ended up having a really big game. The second game, we ended up winning, going back to OU. We packed the Gatorade coolers full of booze and got hammered in the back of the bus. But the story that really comes out at me was actually one from juniors. We were playing a game over in Huntsville when I was playing in Nashville, and we were driving back. I don't remember how the game went. But we were coming back and our bus broke down, or we had a flat tire or something in the middle of nowhere in Tennessee. I mean, like Boone country. And we had to park our bus in this like super raggedy looking, dust covered junkyard, get a tire put on. And we were standing around for like 3 hours. And we were playing wall ball off this old tin tin building, literally in the middle of nowhere, dust covered, no one around. And we couldn't tell what the building was. We had no idea. There were no signs anywhere. And all of a sudden, this pimped out, dark blue, full blacked out tinted Escalade pulls up and lowers down the window and tells us to leave instantly, kicks us out. And then this other car pulls up, some piece of shit car, rolls up into the parking lot. And it's this full curved out chick, like wearing basically nothing. And we're like, oh my God, this is a strip club. And it's like 2 p.m. It's like 3 p.m. And they're pulling into work in the middle of nowhere in this strip club. It was too funny.
That's what our buddy Rick Rowley would call greasy right there.
Yeah, that's definitely one of those ACHA. We've had a couple ECHL guys on. All those breakdown bus stories always seem to have some common theme there. That's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, well, it happens,
Yeah, absolutely. But hey, man, we really appreciate you joining us, and hopefully you had fun. Definitely a good time for us. Good to catch up. A lot of fun.
Yeah, it's super good to hear from you guys. I'm glad this seems to be taking off pretty well for you guys. Sorry, I heard you got some merch dropping. I'll be sure to cop something when it comes out.
Yeah.
If it's out right now, probably go on my phone here a little bit, cop something. But it seems like it's taken off really well for you guys, and I hope it continues to do so. You guys are good to talk to. You asked some good questions, and best of luck with it. I'll be sure to tune in a little bit more.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it. And, we'll catch up later on. We'd love to do it again.
And we want to thank Mason for hopping on with us. Such a great interview, such a nice guy. I thought a ton of what he said was just spot on. Great to see what he's doing, in his surrounding community now. And it was just great to hear him talk about his playing experience.
Yeah, I had some killer names that he got to hang out with. JP Dumont being the main one. Really cool stories. Appreciate him coming on. Go way back. I played with him a little bit. Mac, I know you did too. I was having a foggy memory there because he did kind of come in a little late, but it's great talking with him. Great catching up.
Yeah, definitely interesting to hear a little bit about a program that we haven't heard much of or haven't heard much about at all, like Ohio, but sounds like it was a fun and pretty cool place to play hockey. And maybe we'll have somebody else on from that program sometime soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Some housekeeping stuff to get to. Let's get to some injury updates. Braden Point is going to miss 4 to 6 weeks with an upper body injury.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yikes.
I know
How
the next
convenient is that?
What, he's on your fantasy team? Is that what it is? Oh.
I'm just lightning long-term injury jokes will
yeah.
never not be funny now.
Oh, I hear you.
LTIR.
For Getzlaff, by the way, week to week lower body. I know that was next.
Igor Shesterkin placed on IR after exiting the other day with a lower body injury against the Sharks. Gallant added that he feels that the goaltender is going to be real comfortable to be ready to go in a week. So nothing to panic about, Ranger fans, but I'm sure you'll find something anyways. Chicago Blackhawks Tyler Johnson has been sidelined by a neck injury. Johnson had surgery and his operation was the same one that Jack Eichel underwent last month. Johnson will be sidelined for approximately 3 months, according to team physician Michael Terry. Yeah, Eichel has been cleared for contact, speaking of him, and is expected to join the Vegas Golden Knights in 3 weeks. So it'll be interesting to see what his progress
Look out.
Yeah, and sorry, he's been cleared for everything except contact. So he is skating, he's working out, but is not practicing with the team currently.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him. Honestly, as much as I don't like the Knights, and we talk about that all the time, but I'm excited to see him back on the ice again, back in an NHL game.
Yeah. And then like a small part of me is thinking like maybe there's a small chance that he could come back for.
I was gonna say,
That would
the
be
sooner
cool.
Jack comes back, the
Olympics.
better that is
Yeah.
for Team USA.
Absolutely. Josh Anderson could miss up to 4 weeks with an upper body injury. Not great for the Habs, but what is? Alexander Barkov is back in the lineup tonight against the St. Louis Blues. That's Tuesday night after missing 8 games with a lower body injury. That was a result of that knee-on-knee with Scott Mayfield. So good to see that he wasn't out for too long. Suspensions. Connor McDavid. Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
What did you guys think? Gets
McDavid
tossed from the game the
1.5
other
with a
night.
twist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know like what the odds are on Connor McDavid being tossed from a game, but if there's a prop for that, someone cashed in big time. I'm interested to see how DOPS is going to handle this.
They announced it.
Did they?
Yeah, no suspension, no additional disciplinary action.
So nothing for him. What did you guys think of
Nothing.
that?
I didn't really think the hit was that bad, to be honest. Maybe the only thing I saw of it was like a GIF that just kept replaying like the one initial like play of it. And it looked like maybe a penalty. I guess I understood him getting tossed out. I was kind of like, huh, that's interesting. It didn't look that bad to me, but again, maybe I saw like a weird angle. What did you guys think?
I thought we could see a game here.
You'd
But
see a game
not
if it
really
was any...
much more than that. But I think like the thing that pisses me off is like, if it's anyone else, it's probably 2.
Yep. And per usual, dirty hit means Tom Wilson starts trending on Twitter. So that did happen indeed.
Well, that might be because he scored his 100th goal the other night, just saying. Elite NHL goal scorer and perennial Rocket Richard favorite.
Future Team Canada roster pick, Tom Wilson.
Don't look now, but you know who the number 3 forward in fantasy hockey is?
Who?
Tom Wilson.
That's crazy.
Thank you very much. He's on my team along with his liney, Alexander Ovechkin.
Who happens to be number 2.
Did I think McDavid needed to be suspended? Honestly, no. I thought this was blown a little bit out of proportion. He boarded Kempe or Kempe, I don't know. Kempe, whatever. He boarded Kempe, but like there was no injury. Kempe got right up. I know that shouldn't factor, but let's be real, it does. It was just a standard board where like, okay, guy went too hard, he got ejected, he did his thing, and nothing else happened. I don't really think there needs to be much more that happened, to be quite frank with you.
True, fair. Someone else who didn't get suspended again, it was PK Subban after kicking someone's feet out from underneath them again. What is this, like the 10th time this season so far?
5th, but yes. So we tweeted something out about that, responding to the video. What do you think, Nick? I know you got some thoughts on this.
So Marshy got what? 3 games?
Something like that.
I'm sorry, but like every single one of Subban's incidents was worse than Marchand's. And
Agreed.
not to throw it back to Tom Wilson, but if we're going to go by history here, like, I don't know, like the guy's done it 5 times and like teams haven't even played 25 games yet.
Can confirm Marchand was 3 games. And yes, I agree with you. It's not, so this is the 5th time it's happened this year. You can find all video of all 5. And we tweeted this out on the account that this wasn't the worst one that's happened this year. It was probably the one that was this was probably the one that you could classify as accidental, quote unquote. But like, at what point are you just going to be like, dude, enough is enough? Like, if it's even a close call at this point, you got to do something because this is out of hand. And
I saw something online that said like he had like a ref had like pulled him aside and was like, this is just like a bad habit in your game that you need to fix or something like that. I'm like, it's not, like, it's just the guy's kicking people's feet out from under them. Like, he just needs to stop doing it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, it's not like you're like, oh, you're shooting it a little too high every time you come in from the right circle. It's not like one of those things that's just a part of your game that you have to work on. Like Nick said, it's just stop doing that. Like, stop trying to hurt people.
Stop knocking guys at like ass over tea kettle when their head's going this way and their body's going that way. It's just
it's pretty simple.
A follow-up on last week's biting incident. Brendan Lemieux ended up getting 5 games for that. What did you guys think?
Sure. I mean, that's the minimum for me. It should have been at least 5. I'll take it. Probably could have been more, but whatever.
Second that.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree as well. So moving on to trades, roster moves, all that jazz. The report is that Stars goaltender Anton Khudobin is on the trade block. Dobie was huge for this team 2 years ago as they went all the way to the Cup final, but considering the wealth, let's be real, that this team has in net right now with Braden Holtby, who's had a career resurgence after getting out of Vancouver. Coincidence? I think not. And Jake Ottinger, who's had some good starts so far this season. It looks like
not to mention Ben Bishop's going to eventually not be injured anymore. So
is he though?
No, yeah, honestly.
They just sent him to the AHL.
Yeah.
I think probably to recoup, but yeah.
When
I don't know
was
if
the
he's
last time he played? Does anyone know?
Well, he was on the bench at one point during their playoff run.
Right. I mean, like starting.
Yeah. No, I don't know.
If I'm the Stars, I'm trading Dobie and I'm trading Bishop and I'm trying to get any pieces that I can to build up my forward core because
Ottinger,
they're looking good.
Yeah, that's a great 1-2 punch. Blackhawks, they made a goalie move as well. They traded Malcolm Subban to the Sabres for future considerations because the Sabres needed a goalie like a fresh cup of water. I mean, it was so bad there. So glad to see that Subban gets another kick at the can. I don't really think he had good, outings when it came to Chicago and Vegas. I think he got overlooked, passed over. So hopefully he, finds his role in Buffalo and, can attempt to right the sinking ship there. Moving on, let's go ahead and get into some gambling news. But before we do, I think Mac wants to tell us a little bit about Sharp Rank.
Yeah, we just want to remind you guys that this season, all of our picks are powered by Sharp Rank. Sharp Rank created the first ever cross-sport rating system, ranking bettors from any sport on one leaderboard that anyone can dominate, even you. Sharp Rank is backed by some of the biggest names in the sports gambling world, such as BetMGM, Betway, and Sports Illustrated. Download the free app for iPhone and Android today. And with that, now that we're talking about gambling, let's get into some gambling trends and picks. Harry, what do you got?
Absolutely. Harry, fire it up.
Just want to say before I fire it up that Sharp Rank will be adding NHL to their app. That is why we haven't been posting on there yet, because we obviously do hockey gambling. So, just keep a lookout for that in the next couple of weeks. Should be fun. Gambling, let's get into it. Jake Guentzel, got to talk about it first. Hottest player in hockey right now, riding a 13-game point streak. In those 13 games, he has 19 points total. He has scored a point in every single road game that he's played in so far for the Penguins this year. Very worth noting. They do play the Capitals.
Impressive.
They play the Capitals on the road this Friday. We will be at the game, so I am probably going to be dabbling with that.
So, real quick before you move on, this is the first time that you and I are going to go to a Caps Penguins game together.
Mm-hmm.
Please get some content for the story.
We will. I promise you we will. It should be a lot of fun. Jake has 7 points in his last 2 games. So Jake Guentzel, 3.5. Book it. Just kidding. 15 goals and 27 points on the season. He's averaging over a point per game so far. So yeah, Guentzel props are great. You don't even have to go 1.5. You can probably get it at 1. I think I did one of these the other day. 1 point was around -190. Little steep, but it beats doing the 1.5 for Connor at -156 or somewhere in there. So something to keep an eye on. Next game coming up is against the Caps on Friday, so should be a doozy.
It's going to be interesting with both teams well rested too, right? Both teams are going to have a couple of days off before that.
Yep. Rumor has it the big Russian Bear's coming back, so we'll see. I don't know. Maybe Gino will surprise me and finally make his season debut in my first game of the year. But
can you imagine if Gino and Backstrom both came back on the same game?
That's what we need. That's honestly what we need. That would make
possible,
the game.
But I think Backstrom's probably about another week away if I had to guess.
Yeah. I don't know what to make of Gino yet, but I'm hearing it's definitely possible. The Flyers, I already read all the Carter Hart stats to you guys earlier, but they suck. They've lost 9 in a row. We said it last week. We're going to say it again. It's easier to bet against the shit teams than it is to bet on the good teams. So keep betting against the shit, especially if it's Martin Jones.
The shit teams play everyone, but good teams also play good other teams sometimes.
That's a hell of a fucking quote. Put that on a t-shirt.
Nick Manella, dictated but not read.
Oh god. The Rangers, we said it, well, I said it last week. It was on the clip, and I got told I was a jinx, and they went 3-0 on their 3-game homestand. So you're welcome, New York. They went 3-0 in their last 3 games. They played the Sharks, the Hawks, and the Flyers, beat all of them. I'm not a jinx anymore, by the way. Thank you, Mark. They've now won 6 in a row. Kreider is on fire. He's having a great year, got the big payday, and he is living up to it. He's playing way above his contract means right now. So Kreider props, Ranger money line and puck line. I've been really big on betting when Shesterkin's been in net. That injury's got me I'm kind of hitting off the gas a little bit.
He's great, and he's my fantasy goalie, so I've been tracking this for a while. Puck line on the road for them, especially, your value is really, really good, and they tend to hit it just because of, when he's in net. So, yeah, keep an eye on that.
For sure. And then not many trends this week. I only have one more, but we talked about it. The Dallas Stars. They've won 7 games in a row. Fun fact, the under has hit in all 7 games. So Dallas Star under and money line parlays, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know why, like last year, we were so sold on that team was going to be the best puck line team of the year, but for whatever reason, they're just not. That's a money line team. It's like the Islanders last year. They love to win games by 1 goal for whatever reason. So,
indeed, they do. Nick, who's hot? Who's not? Actually, Mac, you got something?
Oh, I was just gonna say they, for once, covered a puck line last night though, and it actually turned out pretty well for me. So thank you, Dallas.
There you go. Who's hot, who's not? Dallas, you mentioned it. 9-1-0 in their last 10, 7 in a row. The Rangers, 9-1-0 in their last 10, 6 in a row. The Wild, 7-2 in their 1 in their last 10, but 6 of those have been wins consecutively. So I think, if you're going to jump on a team that's hot, you might as well jump on the Wild. And if you're going to jump on the Wild, Eriksson, Ek, Fiala, Kaprizov, point props, probably as good as you're going to get. Who's not hot? Well, we've covered this already. The Flyers, the Islanders, and the Sabres. So, what else? But the Flyers 1-7-2 in their last 10. The Islanders 0-7-3 in their last 10 and have lost 11 consecutive games
until
perhaps a few hours from now. We'll see.
3-1 Islanders late in the second period.
Then the Sabres, and I literally put a bullet point here that says no stats required because they are that bad. It's same story, different year with them. So
yeah, it's unfortunate. Let's see what the Isles do here, eh? Like they're in some shit. They got to turn it around. I know all of fucking, Barstool, Spit and Chicklets, all those guys hammered them tonight. Mac, I know you took them. We had a couple Islanders followers say, "Don't do it. It's not there yet." Blah blah. So Nick and I stayed clear. I'm kind of regretting it, but we'll see. State of the Union. I'll get this one done real quick. We got to wrap up here soon. But Penguins, they just completed their Western Canadian swing before they play the Caps on Friday, December 10th. First game, tight game against the Flames. We should have gotten absolutely blasted, but Jory stole us a point. We lost in a shootout. Awesome. The Oilers, we hung in there, and then in the third period, they blew us away and beat us 5-2. It was 2-2 after 2. The Canucks and Kraken finally got some dubs up on the board. Gensel and Crosby were the highlight of those 2 games. They went absolutely off. Don't look now, but washed up Sidney Crosby, quote unquote, now has 11 points in his last 6 games, and he's coming. So that's good to hear for Pens fans. And Casey DeSmith finally wins a game this season, finally get a backup goaltender win against the Kraken. We routed them 6-1. That was the longest streak that a Pittsburgh backup goalie has gone without a win since infamous Hall of Famer, legend Vezina winner Jocelyn Thibault back in 2006. I made all of that up.
You mean perennial Vezina candidate Jocelyn Thibault?
He sucked for the Penguins, dude. He was so bad.
For the Hawks, though, that man was legend, wasn't he?
He was.
Is he I don't know if he was good. Legend might be a little bit.
Played
of a
for a
stretch, in my
couple.
opinion.
Didn't he play for the Habs too, or no?
I think so.
I think he did. I know he's most well known for his days with the Hawks, but
Yeah.
I'll let you guys take the Capitals.
Well,
Okay, so the elephant in the room that we need to address is the 4-1 third period implosion against the Florida Panthers.
yeah, that sucked. I will say it helped that it was against an actually good team that we probably shouldn't have been beating 4-1 in the first place, but we were, so you shouldn't lose that game.
And I think the other thing is it's been a while since I've watched the Caps pack it in like they did going into that third period.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you could almost see it happening.
Oh,
and
for sure.
it's like, it's a bad car accident. It's like, you don't want to look away, but you know what's going to happen. So
Even when it was 4-1, like I wish I wasn't such a homer, because when it was 4-1 early in that third period and the Panthers were buzzing, I knew, I was like, I should live bet the Panthers. They're going to like win this game, but I just can't because I don't want to root for that because I'm a homer because I love the Capitals. And of course it happened. It probably would have been like crazy odds too. So yeah, if you don't care about the Capitals and you want to see them blow 3-goal leads and get rich off of it, then congrats to you. But other than that, we've looked good. I think that Blackhawks, the Blackhawks loss was annoying, but I don't think there was really like anything glaring with that one. It was just same shit. Once we get past get past regulation, it's like, okay, can't win. Blue Jackets, I didn't watch that game. I don't have much to say about it, but we won, so that's good. And the Ducks, I did watch that game last night. That was actually a very hard-fought shootout win. We were basically dead to rights in that shootout, and then Daniel Sprong, former Anaheim Duck, literally like
by 2 inches
made one of the shittiest shootout moves I've ever seen, which I can't really blame him because Gibson just takes up the whole freaking net.
But I'm glad you said that because it like he gave himself zero angle to shoot the puck from.
No, he deked into the same spot that Gibson had covered. Like he literally like deked and then he ran out of room and there was nothing to do, so he just had to shoot it. And if Gibson made the save, game over, we lose yet another extra time game. But somehow it squeaks through his 5-hole by like an inch over the goal line. And then we have life, and then we make a save, and then Ovi scores, and Carlson ends up winning it. So kind of a crazy win. Can't believe the Capitals took that long to win a game that went past regulation this year, but at least we got that monkey off our back. And now we can focus on Penguins this Friday.
For sure.
Does anybody remember what happened the last time we played the Penguins?
No, I don't. To be honest,
Harry, do you
Harry,
remember?
Could you look that up real quick and then read the
just
score?
look it up real quick. Yeah,
because my memory is really bad.
Just real quick. I can't really remember. So
We're focused on Friday.
I will say this. The Trevor Zegras stick handling clinic is in full swing.
He's
Harry,
sick.
I know you were watching that game because you were texting me. A good friend of the pod, who you guys know pretty well, Pat, was at that game. And was just, I mean, it's out of this world, the hands that man has. Sorry, man-child has, but like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, he's silky smooth. Talked about the World Juniors earlier, but he lit it up last year. We didn't know what he was going to bring to the show, and man, is he bringing it this season. So he looks pretty good. Let's wrap the show up with this. Let's say Friday, no Malkin, assume. No Backstrom, assume. Probably Sammy in net, if I had to guess, based on track record recently. Jari in net. Let's say, instead of saying who wins, because we're just going to pick our own team, over under 6. What do you think?
Over.
I would probably say over.
over, yeah.
4-3.
I think it's due for an over. You don't need to say who wins, by the way. We already know who you're going to say, but yeah. I was just curious what your guys' thoughts were on that.
I think over. I mean, that last game was literally what, like, well, I actually don't remember the score. It was 5-1, 6-1,
6-1. Yeah.
Something like that. We got routed.
It was a lot of goals, though, is the point. So
if you're at that game and you want to say hi, please come say hi. We'll be on the concourse during intermission and everything. Probably.
yeah, buy the boys a beer.
Yeah, please buy me a beer, please.
I'll be wearing the EB hat. You'll know who we are.
Yeah.
But yeah, should be fun. That's all I got, fellas. You guys got anything? Nope. Nick? Nope.
Can't
Nick,
think of
you got
anything.
Got any new gear coming, maybe?
All good here.
What kind of new gear are we talking?
Merch? No, maybe.
Yeah, I just ordered a bunch of stuff the other day, so looking forward to that. Got to stock up the family for Christmas. So
Sure, absolutely. All right, everybody. Appreciate you listening. We will be back with you guys next week. Might get a little hairy around the Christmas schedule, but we'll definitely be back next week. So keep an eye out for that. Thanks, Mason, for joining us. And without further ado,
class dismissed.